Uduasha city, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow. 800 years ago, the gates of death were broken by the Emperor Immortal. The 5 key bearers, however, had already unlocked them and walked right through. It is in Uduasha city they dwell. Now, the ghost field breathes next to our reality, lit by the eternal flame of the well of Udu. It is a second skin, a place where thought and will struggle against gravity and light. In other places, the dead congregate in the ghost field, but in Uduasha, the well city, the hell city, they fall straight into the flames. See its glittering districts: Kshitijpur, where the rich plot to buy the horizon; Bunda West, where the refugees of 2 different nations flock; and Pasarhandu, the vertical maze of market and murder. And here is Udepat, where the ceaseless temple resides. Its inhabitants, a family, a snake, and a god. The temple has stood since before the gods of this world were forgotten. Watch as it turns the wheels of revolution. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about people who take risks so they can survive against the odds.
G'day, I returned. I don't know, Prince was there when I was talking about this on Friday. I just now say g'day as if it's like a normal thing to say, which it is not.
It is in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I've not only have I never been to Australia. I mean, it's not that I don't have Australian friends, but I don't really have anyone very close to me from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I've just decided that...
I don't know. It's a good thing to say. Sometimes we get these quirks. It's fine.
Yeah.
I've been trying to practice the Australian accent more, but for the moment, I'm more distracted by the California accent, which I actually find like among the hardest.
Oh, how come?
I don't know. There's just something about... Because the thing is about the California accent, it's very neutral American. So it's so easy to slip into more of a character accent. So I have a very hard time just sounding like some guy called Josh, you know? Like that sort of vanilla accent without it becoming a southern or character accent of some kind, which is not what you want, right?
I can do 2 accents and you've heard both of them. And then I can say g'day in a...
Yes.
Yeah, but your American accent was so good last session.
I hate you. Okay, cool. Last session, we had the score where you tried to and succeeded in meddling with the relationship between the Hive and Begum Bushundara and the Ashcroft family. It turned out that the bribe that the Hive had arranged for the Begum was basically a job that Elizabeth Ashcroft had figured out so that the Begum could design all of the interiors for the massive fleet of airships that the Ashcrofts are invested in. The first one has yet to be completed, never mind to take off, but that's, not a problem for anybody except Ashcroft. We saw the tea house, the Grapefruit, where Vickers turned up before Elizabeth, interfered with Goopy and Baga, told them that, she was there to hang out, be their friend and so on, and then aided them in dining and dashing because this is not a place where you can really afford to eat unless you are very rich, like Elizabeth Ashcroft. Elizabeth then later turned up and was mildly drugged by her sister in order to calm her nerves, but in doing so also became somewhat convinced that her new paramour actually had it out for her. When the paramour arrived, that person being Vipahar, there was a lot of very angry gesticulation and suspicion, and Vipahar you cannot understand her. She has an accent that nobody can penetrate. But you didn't need to understand her to know that she's basically telling you that you're an awful sister, you're an awful family member, and that both you and Miraz should basically be ashamed of yourselves for treating the lovely and amazing Elizabeth in the way that you have. But you managed to alter the contract in order to get yourself some extra cash. You managed to get away from it not having made too much trouble, and you made a friend who was the Silver Nail who turned up on the scene towards the end. But yeah, that's where we left off. I guess we're kind of in free downtime now. We managed to make it back to the temple. Not a big problem.
I think it's really important to address that we have advanced in tier, because that's a really big thing.
We are no longer a small fish, and I think this manifests as basically we have this contract, right? We have Bashundara off our back, and we have kind of a source of revenue, a source of income, a little bit. So I think, renovations on the temple are proceeding, and the way I imagine it is that, at least for Vickers' part, her like tier up is going to look like we have a more nicely decorated temple. And I think also, I think she's prioritizing is we have actual like cooking facilities now, so that even though our food still sucks, we can still offer food. We can at least offer food on like a scale to people who come to us. There is something to eat, even if it's terrible.
Well, this is very important, in fact.
But please, everyone else, add. I think it's cool if everyone adds something that they have, like some improvement to the temple they have seen to. So for Vickers' part, the improvement is going to be the decor and like basically an expanded kitchen. It's still not good, but it can handle a lot.
I think Miraz has finally managed to add electroplasmic lights to the entire temple complex. There's a little generator that I think like we feed with Leviathan oil. It's not like bank breakingly expensive, but it's still fairly notable. And I think there's probably going to be some problems in terms of like being able to acquire enough Leviathan oil to keep these lights going in the future. But for now, there's enough.
Yeah, I imagine you can get some from the foundation.
That's probably where I'm getting it actually, but we'll see how that ends up being. I think there's also now guardrails up near the spot where Joan and I had our conversation like 2 sessions ago.
Up on the roof.
Yeah, so now there's like guardrails, there's like an actual walkway. People can go there now. And in general, there's like more hustle and bustle. There's workmen going around here and there. And Miraz can be found most days in his workshop trying to draw up this escalator plan.
How about Abbas? What have you paid attention to in this improvement?
Okay, I think we could go with. So what kind of improvements are we talking about exactly? Because is it just our layer getting better?
Yeah, it's our organization getting better, right? It's just our tier increasing basically means that we are now a more politically heavyweight faction slightly in the city. Partly for the benefit of the listeners too. That's what tier means. It's like your political pull and influence, but it does come with some, perks. What perks would Abbas add as an outcome of this?
Ooh, I mean, if we're really leaning into what we've established about him already, we could expand his library. Maybe get a subscription to some publications and stuff. Really keep up with what's been going on in Russia.
There's one thing we know about Abbas. He's on the cutting edge of scholarly thought.
And what about Emma?
I think we've seen over the past few sessions that we've been taking people into the temple to stay for a time or for a long time. Of course, the Skoflander, the 2 Skoflanders, and also, I forget his name. What was the guy that we that we considered taking in but didn't eventually?
Morrisim?
Morrison, yes.
Yes. He lives with Pierre now.
He lives with Pierre,
Yeah.
correct.
But I think what we might see is that we have these like kind of monk cells, right, that are kind of Spartan rooms where the temple custodians and such might live. I imagine they might be have become a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more prepared for actually receiving people. And it's possible that there is 1 or 2 people that actually make use of them every now and then.
And I think that one change that you will noticed is that the twins who were Zajidan's kind of left and right hands, respectively, in some lights, especially under the harsh electroplasmic lights, sometimes when you see them, it seems like their skin looks a little mottled, like it's fake skin. And then you kind of like blink and then it's gone. So it doesn't look like that. But I think it does seem like your cohorts have taken on some of the aspects of the avatar of your god, if you pay attention to them.
The other thing that happened is that, and I'm sure Paddapriya and Paddamuki are really, really annoyed about this. There's now more and more people from our congregation who they seem to have taken up residence in the temple, and they're like going around like, can I help you with this? Can I sweep that? Can I fix this? our cohort has expanded in mechanical terms,
Mhm.
right? Now there's more of them.
Yeah.
Probably like 5 or 6 people.
They're not only staying here, but they're also doing
Yeah.
tasks.
Yeah. So now they're like, at first I think Padapri and Padamuki like ignored them and resented them, and like then they started relying on them. Now it's like a reluctant sort of thing where like now Padapri and Padamuki aren't just 2 people anymore. Now there's more of them.
Well, more
Wow.
sisters.
Yes.
Oh no, but like it just seems to come in a unit still.
Huh.
Like when you call for Padapri and Padamuki, now they might show up with some random guy.
They're now what surgeons in our.
Yeah.
Very good. So yeah, I think like there's certainly a lot more hustle and bustle than there used to be. This is mostly a good thing. It is mostly very useful that you can pull upon more people and you've got more infrastructure. It does unfortunately mean that you are also acquiring more attention. Prince, why don't you tell us first about your downtime?
Absolutely. So it was mentioned some time ago that Morrisim is actually into roofball, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So I want to go visit him with Pierre, and to flag what I'm doing, I'm indulging my vice. But my plan is also to onboard Morrisim into my team because,
Okay.
or at least to test him out. Right? He has been playing roofball. Right now, he's just like, so he's in hiding from the hive and so on.
Yes.
But I feel like we have. Does it make sense to have him reappear in a public position on our team? Actually,
It would be dangerous.
yeah, but it would also be funny.
Sounds like the sort of slightly reckless, silly thing Vickers might do. But then she's also savvy about gang politics, so depends on which mood she's in, I guess.
Yes, I think what she will. What I think, yeah. Her reasoning here is that we have expanded our temple. We have sort of made a claim, right, that we are protecting this guy, but he also needs to be somewhat subtle. So, yeah, okay, I have an idea. So, she will go to Pierre's place with a number of supplies with her. Subterfuge supplies, no less. And she will ask to see Morrisim.
And I think Pierre is he's now got much more free time on his hands because of Morrisim. So at the moment he is, I think he for whatever reason he's darning some socks. And he sees you, he immediately stands up, gives you like a salute and says, "Captain," and then says, he's round the back. And I think he yells out.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, he yells out for Morrisim and says, "You're here to see him."
Yep. And I will go around and look at him. And I think Vickers is normally very, very pleasant to people. But this is a man who tried to kill her husband.
That is true.
Or at least severely hurt him. So one of the rare times we actually see Vickers look at someone with like a bit of disdain. She's not her usual polite, cheerful self.
Right.
She comes in and she says, "Well, I wanted to see how you're settling in. I wasn't there for your onboarding when Uncle Abbas pulled you out of the gutters. But I trust you're finding yourself at home."
Oh, well, it's Pierre is great. We're getting on really well, and I think like as you see him talk, you also see that like one of the things that's happened is that like probably stopped drinking as much as he used to. Yeah, which is good for him.
Well, I'm sure I have no doubt in Uncle Abbas's abilities to set a fellow on the right path. I do believe you have learned your lesson, but I also feel that if you're sitting here idle all day, I don't think it will be good for your constitution, nor for your habits. We ought to find you something to do, don't you think?
Oh, I mean, Pierre is. I'm helping Pierre out with a job. You don't need to worry about me, ma'am. I'm not. I can pick up my own weight. I'm doing the best I can, and yeah, he's been very kind to me. I think he thinks that like you're criticizing him.
Yeah, I think Vickers' eyes narrow a bit, and she says, "Oh, this is no criticism at all. I'm here to offer you an opportunity. You see, the Rooftop Angels, my team, well, they're composed of second chances, you see. There are people here that wouldn't quite fit into any other team, nor in some cases any other social situation, nor in some cases, and I'm thinking specifically about socks, in rooms with furniture. Now, I'm willing to offer you the same kind of second chance that I've extended to the members of my team. You don't have to take it, but if you do, I feel like rather than hiding you in a rat hole all day, we could give you a bit of a makeover and a new identity and something to do. And she will pull up, like, we don't really have team jerseys, but she will pull up like some of the decorative angel wings that I guess we wear alongside my subterfuge supplies. And my plan is to onboard him under a new name.
Incredible. Okay, let's say. Okay, I have 2 questions for you. The first question is, how good are these supplies?
Well, they're the same tier as us, so they're tier 1. They're just what I have access to from our temple.
Yeah. So that's fine.
So they're probably actually ceremonial things.
Yeah, they probably are actually. Second question is, when you like bring these out, does it seem to Modasim like you are saying, I'm going to induct you into the temple, and because that's what your supplies appear to be like coming from?
Yes, that is perfectly possible, actually. I mean, Uncle Abbas was supposed to bring him on the straight and narrow. I'm sure that if he listens to more sermons, he will be better. That's how Uncle Abbas works, right?
Yeah, that is absolutely how Uncle Abbas works.
It's easier to like it's harder to resist.
Yes.
So I think then let's say that if you are willing to actually induct him into the temple, then that seems to me like a devil's bargain, and you can just roll. See, I think he will accept anyway, but I think this is about like how well the subterfusion goes.
Yeah, very well. Are we calling this a downtime action, or is this a roll with risk?
I think this is a downtime action. I think this is like you're working on making your cohort better, because I think he is actually like quite good at this job.
Okay, sure. So I think my action is sway. I think I'm trying to persuade him. And I will take the bonus die of inducting him into the temple, because why not? Now we have this guy. It's
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's totally a person.
It was Abbas's idea to bring him on board with like sermons and moralizing. So I'm making him Abbas's problem.
Yes.
That is what
excellent.
I represent.
This is how family works. You just get other people to solve your problems for you, and never backfire.
This is no problem for Abbas. This is exactly what he wants. Another disciple.
Yes. So this guy will be both our cohort.
Yeah. By the way, this is going to be absolutely.
So I roll a 4.
Okay. Great. So that was it was a 4 and a 1, so that's a 4. I think with a 4, let's say that what you're doing is you're adding like another quality to your cohort here, and the quality is like right now without you, they're not like super effective, right? But if you add Morasim to your team successfully, and Morasim can lead your team like very efficient. Let's say that is it 1 upgrade? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he is somewhat good at that.
He's actually.
So I've added him as a deputy of the.
Yeah. So let's say it's a 6-step clock, and that if it's a 6-step, once you finish the clock, you will be able to like add independent or something like that. Like doesn't need constant supervision as like a thing that your cohort can do. Right?
Yes, deputize Morasim, I've called the clock. That's the project.
Very good.
And to be clear, Vickers does not trust this guy. This is just, but she does believe genuinely in redeeming people.
Yes.
And so she will give him a chance. If he fucks up, he will not get any more chances.
Yeah.
But,
and like,
she doesn't want him to rot in a hole his whole life. So.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think we'll see, right, whether he fucks up or not. I don't think that's really something we can know quite yet, but we could know it soon enough.
No. Absolutely not. And so this chains into my second downtime action, if I can do both at once, which is I will be visiting Purnima Ghosh, my vice purveyor, for a friendly match to test out Morasim's skills, you see. Because I don't actually know how good he is at roofball.
Oh, yeah,
so
you don't.
I have now asked him to join, and then we will test his mettle. So I'll keep the scene brief. We don't have to get too into it, but Vickers will appear before Purnima with the rest of her team. And she will say, Purnima, I hope you don't mind. I've got a prospective new member, someone I'm trying out. Don't go easy on him. I know you never would. And she like smiles, and then she steps aside.
I think Morasim.
Yeah, what does Purnima say?
I think Morasim is like nervous but excited, because it is like it's fun, right? Like he's not against it.
Yeah.
And Purnima is like looks him up and down. Then she looks back at you and she says, yeah, you could do better, couldn't you? And like, I think this is less about him and more about like poking you where it hurts, which is really like, this is where your judgment is.
Yeah. Yes. And I think Vickers will notice the barb and like just take it because she is doing him a favor. There's a very pointed look to Morrison, like I am doing you a favor. I'm putting my reputation on the line here, right? And now I need to give him a new name, obviously, as I introduce him because I can't introduce him as Morrison. What's a good name to give him? Okay, just the first thing that came to my mind. Vickers goes like, "Well, I'm pleased to introduce to you my prospective new member, Augustus Khan."
Or have you told Morrison before this moment that this is going to be his new name?
No, he's Augustus Khan now.
I think Morrison's the kind of guy who would love to be Augustus Khan.
Yes.
If he was Morrison, he would like grunt and like maybe salute. But like now that you've named him, he's going to
Yes.
like Augustus Khan. It's a very different kind of man, I think, or he thinks anyway.
Yes.
So he will like do what he thinks is a bow.
Yes.
And then
I have disguised him to look exotic because this will throw off the trail. So he has a cool romantic eye patch now. It's complete. He doesn't need one, but he has a cool romantic eye patch.
Very good.
Yep.
I think like he like absentmindedly scratches like the skin under his eye patch because of course you can still see out of that eye. It's just that the cool romantic eye patch is necessary.
Yes.
And
Yes.
This is a problem because with only one eye, his depth perception is going to be shot to shit.
Yes, but he needs a disguise. We need to keep his identity secret.
Yeah.
Plus, of course, I'm testing him with a handicap. This is, you know, all true roofball players must succeed even when they're being held back. This Purnim actually taught me this last time we trained, where I had to do things with like only my left hand and stuff. So.
Yeah, very good. So in fact, she's gonna put him through the same routine she put you through, except not only is he not as good as you, he's also going to fall over quite a lot. I imagine you're gonna be like making sure he doesn't fall and break his leg or his neck, because if you don't do that, I mean it's a real possibility.
So I think the details that I've added to him, his new disguise, he will have a cool romantic eye patch, a fake prosthetic nose that is really like big and Cyrano de Bergerac style, and a beret. That's his disguise. No one will recognize him. This is flawless.
I mean, yes, but like nobody is also ever going to mistake him for anyone else now. Have you told him?
No.
I think unless you tell him explicitly for this not to be the case, he's also now going to adopt an accent.
Yes, perfect.
And he's going to adopt the accent that I'm about to do now, which I will never do again, which is the kind of accent that an Indian person does of what they think a French person sounds like, but never having actually spoken to a French person. So I think he will say something like, "Hello, Ozzy, the ball is in my hand." And he's going to try very hard and fail. But, you know, we can see how your wife.
I would roll my indulge vice now.
Yeah,
you genuinely think that's the last time you're going to do that accent?
I hope so. A 4 and a 6.
I roll a 6.
So you clear the most stress you can.
I'm apparently proud of his performance.
I think not only does he do better than you expect, but that Purnima genuinely thinks that this guy is some guy you found on the street. And she believes you.
Yes.
Like, he definitely thinks he's weird and that he's a character, but that everybody in your team is like that. Sox is like that. Pierre is like that. So this is just another person in your collection. Right? So,
yes.
At the end, she's going to be like, oh, not half bad for someone who can only see out of one eye. And I'll just tell him to not to speak as if he's got like off his mouth full of cotton, and I think we'll be fine. It's really annoying.
Yes. Vickers like claps a hand on his shoulder and says like, "Hey, don't worry, everyone. The communication issues will soon be over. He's assimilating well to the local to the local climate, isn't he?" His accent will go away over time. He'll learn.
He'll figure it out.
This is how we get rid of the accent. Okay, good. I have my new deputy, Augustus. I like that as soon as I gave him a fake identity, Morrison just decided to change his old personality and become like slightly obnoxious, but also just
Well,
cooler.
I
So
think that in fact Morrison was just waiting for somebody to give him a purpose in life. I don't think he was expecting this to be the purpose, but now that you've done it, you know.
yes, precisely. I think that was Vickers' take on it too. You know, he may have attacked my husband, it's just because he's a sad, confused, alcoholized man.
Yeah.
He needs something better in
Yeah.
his life.
Yeah. He's also not going to really enjoy it when he finds out that Goopy is now contributing to Abbas's newspaper, because Goopy used to work for him and now they're kind of equals, maybe?
Yes.
That's going to be awkward.
Okay, that's Vickers' downtime. I just wanted to tie up the Morrison loose
Yes,
end so we don't just
absolutely.
leave him hanging out at here.
Yeah.
I think this was a fun way to do it.
100%.
Don't worry, I would have tormented him somehow.
I have potentially one more thing I want to do, but I'll do it after everyone does their regular downtime. But I'm thinking of a way for Vickers to reduce heat on the crew as well.
Yes.
So just
Forgetting
flagging
about
that.
I keep forgetting about heat as a mechanic.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
But I actually think I have a reasonable way for Vickers to do it here, so I'm going to probably spend some crew resources to get the law off our backs.
I'm very ready for you to be our like appointed person who remembers that heat exists of the crew once again.
Yep.
Okay. Guess who has 2 thumbs and 3 free downtime actions?
Is it you?
Abbas Shafiuddin Chakraborty.
No.
Well, I do as well. Oh no,
you
no.
do? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, excellent. Everyone should have. This
But
is the best
the
ability in
number of
game.
thumbs that Abbas has not yet been confirmed. So
Fair enough. Anyway, thinking about thumbs once more. Yes. So speaking of loose ends, 2 sessions ago, the Chandler man.
Yes.
What was his name?
Mohammed. Yes.
Mohammed.
Yeah.
He said that he would be sending his apprentice Shema over to the Caesar's temple. If I remember correctly, it was to kind of like figure out some way of like atoning for our sins of our snake having eaten their priceless waxwork golem prototype. And I think what I told him was that, well, there's no point asking me to do waxwork. I'm not qualified.
I don't know how to do that. No.
Yeah, maybe we can figure out some way of like I could help them with Sparkcraft or like melding our science or something, and then he assigned one of his apprentices to me.
Yes.
So I think she must have shown up at some point, but like let's have an encounter with her, and then I want to indulge my voice and bring her along with me. But like let's see her first. Like what do you think that dynamic is like?
So I think she is probably in her mid-20s, kind of looks like the kind of person who cares very much about one thing. And in her case, that is, building waxwork golems, and does not care very much about anything else. So like she's got like, frazzled hair, a kind of harried look about her, as if nothing else apart from the thing that she cares about has even occurred to her. Kind of like a mad scientist vibe, right? And probably the last couple of times she's turned up at the temple, Padmapriya has looked at her and said, "Oh, my darling, you look so disheveled. Would you like some help?" And then I think Shama's like heard this kind of thing her entire life. So she's been like, "No, it's totally fine. Don't worry about it. I'm fine." Like that dynamic, I think, has been slowly deepening. And today, when you see her enter, you definitely see her like watching for Padmapriya out of the corner of her eye, because she wants to avoid the lecture that she's no doubt going to get, because she's wearing the same clothes as she was wearing the last time she came.
Miraz obviously doesn't notice any of this. He's like, "Oh, she's back again, is she?"
Yeah.
And I think what's been happening is that so she only cares about waxwork.
Pretty
I don't
much.
think she has any interest whatsoever in fusing the 2 sciences.
Oh, really?
Miraz has no interest in waxwork. So I think what's been happening is that she shows up because she's supposed to show up. Miraz lets her in because Miraz is supposed to let her in. Then she just kind of like sits in one corner and then reads or maybe works on like small waxwork stuff that she managed to bring in on a satchel, while Miraz putters around and does his thing. And then she leaves in the evening, and they barely exchange any word. And I think Miraz is getting ready to do the same. And as he kind of like takes off his like that sort of like flight jacket thing that he wears. I say flight jacket to kind of like for the aesthetic of that.
Yes.
It's not actually a flight jacket because anyway, he's about to take it off and like get to work, and then he kind of like looks and sees this really driven young woman who's like probably I kind of go back and forth on how old Miraz is actually. but I think he's probably mid-20s himself. He's probably like a couple years older than her.
Mhm.
And if we're drawing on like South Asian vibes, then I think those couple years mean a lot in terms of like social responsibility and so on. So, and she's still studying and so on, whereas he's a graduate,
Yes.
qualified engineer, as he, not to brag, and he would never, bring this up on his own,
Yeah.
So he kind of like looks at Shama. Then he says, Yush, Shama Apu, what are you doing right now?
I think she looks up at you.
Do you have work to do today?
Looks up at you and says, "I'm doing what I always do. I am waiting for something interesting to happen in your temple while I work on much more important and interesting things. What are you doing?"
Interesting thing. We put up lights all over the place, and there's okay. I know. If it doesn't drip wax and it didn't come out of a bee, it's not interesting to you. But tell you what, I think instead of this sort of unspoken agreement to not speak to each other thing that we're doing, sitting across this workshop, and you coming here wasting your time, me, I could be doing more if you weren't here. Let's see if we can make something of this, right? I think just come with me. Have you had breakfast? I don't think you have had breakfast. You don't look like someone who has breakfast.
Why would I? I don't have time for breakfast. Why would I?
Well, you have time for breakfast because your time is supposed to be here sitting around, and which means if I tell you to come have breakfast, you're going to have breakfast. So come, get up. We're going to go to. Have you been to the Imperial Ward?
The Imperial? Oh no! Why would I go to the Imperial Ward? Completely unnecessary.
Well, we are going to the Imperial Ward to meet my friend. Come, get up. And I'm going to take her to meet. So normally I meet Fawzia and Sarek in the Playful Turtle in Columpit. But today we're going to go. I think we're going to go back to the cafe.
Okay.
What was it? The aubergine?
Grapefruit.
The grapefruit.
Incredible.
Nice.
I think
It's the
it's
grapefruit,
possible
yeah.
that like the Uduashan locals call it the aubergine and not the grapefruit. It's what Abbas definitely calls it from
Yes.
now.
Two completely unrelated plants.
Yes. Well, it's like how the orange is a Chinese apple in some languages, right? It's just people are confused about plants sometimes.
Yeah, so we're going to the
Abbas would
aubergine.
never.
I actually also have business at the grapefruit because I'm trying to reduce our heat. So maybe I'm in this scene also, if
Very
that makes
good.
sense.
Excellent. Yeah. So I think I was going to go over to the aubergine / the grapefruit to talk to Fawzia Ansarek. And I think I was going to talk to her about the airship, see what she knows about it. Because let's be honest, this is the biggest game in town in terms of Sparkcraft, right? Qualified Sparkcraft engineers don't just grow on trees in Uduasha.
They don't grow on trees in Duskol either.
They need me over there.
They craft them out of pure metal.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, please
I have
go.
no response to that.
Yeah, no, I would be stunned if you had. Sorry, yeah.
It was my instinct to have a response to it, but I don't. Double play. Anyway, so I think he was going to go over there and try to like talk to Fawzia Ansarek about like getting involved in this airship, see what context she has. Like, he wants to get in himself, but like maybe the foundation can also have business, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe a freewheeling scene. I don't know. But why not take Shema, my new apprentice?
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so as Vickers comes along with you, let's say that she is, because she has business here as well. I think we will see Vickers very uncomfortable to return to the scene of the crime. She is like unusually timid, picking at her skirts, just walking alongside, but having resolved to return to this location, so that she can help straighten things out.
It makes perfect sense for you to be here because your dad's running the show.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So I'm probably involved in this conversation with Fawzia as well, but I have my own agenda.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, Vickers will be quite uncomfortable.
Okay, so let's go over there. I'm just going to roll Indulge Vice to see what the tone of the scene is going to be. Because this is a Vice Indulgence. I'm taking help from Shama. So she's not my friend, she's my contact. So what are your rules regarding that sort of thing, Tree?
I think that you can get. I think she's kind of like she's in a fictional position to give you this help, but I'm not going to do it for free. And in this case, probably the that she's going to demand that you do for her is, I think she's going to say that, like, if, you know, like, you're going to drag her down to Golampith and you're going to make her, no, sorry, you're going to drag her into the Imperial Quarter and you're going to make her meet all these people, and it's just terrible. And she wants something from the temple and to have to arrange it for her. I don't know what it is yet. Oh, I know what that is. It's very stupid. She wants to talk to the snake.
Sure. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I think Miraz doesn't
Brilliant.
doesn't care enough about the snake to consider this a problem. They're like, here, sure, whatever. If you can find that, sure.
Great.
Good luck to you.
Yeah.
I wonder if they can get the snake to regurgitate the golem, because it does take snakes a very long time to digest.
Oh God. Well,
That's what a bus would do if he was aware of what's going on.
So I will help you at this meeting, but it will cost you 1 snake puke.
I rolled a 4. I had 8 stress, so I still have 4 stress left. That's fine.
Right. I mean, it's
Okay,
still quite good.
So this meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a moderately successful meeting, I suppose. That's kind of like a. So how do you think it goes? Like, so we show up and talking to Fawzia and look at Vickers and say, okay, Vickers, I know you have a close relationship with your father. He doesn't like me very much, but I don't want to lean on you too much. You know, it feels like he won't respond very well to that. But this would be good for me, right? Like if I'm involved in this airship, like it would be a good idea for me to be involved, keeping an eye on things. Yes, of course, but also
Yeah, well, you're certainly the most qualified.
yes, I think so as well. Don't you agree, Fawzia?
Yes, I think Fawzia. Sorry.
Fawzia?
Yeah, no, Fawzia is like me in a. She's gone back to depressive now. She's actually very quiet.
Yes.
Just like twirling her spoon in her hands, not really paying attention. And then you have to say, Fawzia? And she's like, yeah. Yes, exactly. I completely agree. Yes. What were you saying?
I was saying that I would like to have a position on the Ashcroft Industries airship project. And I would like you and Vickers to help me with that because, well, Earl Ashcroft, my father-in-law, doesn't like me very much because, well, he is my father-in-law and he doesn't approve of that. Also, I don't think he approves of Iruvian as engineers in general. He thinks that we're all like Shama here and all we care about is wax and all that. And he doesn't want to do anything to do with wax. He wants Sparkcraft. And Shama, listen, it's very good that you're here, okay? This group that Fawzia represents, they call the Foundation. It's all about bringing science forward. And you and your wax columns that you're developing for 100 years, and then a snake eats it, and now you're just trying to get that back. Forget about it. Move forward. Fawzia, don't you think that's true?
Oh, this Chandler stuff. It won't go anywhere. I mean, it's all old nonsense. So, really, what the wax that it's print. I'll be honest, Lars. I think you probably did them a favor, and you got your god to eat it. And I think she's not even like really paying attention to what she's saying.
I don't think Miraz is subtle enough to pick up on what that might be. In fact, I'd be surprised if Shama is, but maybe she is.
No. I think like probably in this case, Shama's not going to immediately be like, like evidence that like you did it. But I think this is like she's probably going to get a vibe that you don't really mean for her to work together with you, right? This is just like you're trying to distract her because you're not doing anything about the dismissive way your friend is talking about this. But then you were also being dismissive about it. So, all much of a muchness.
I look at Shama and say, listen, Shama, you and I both know that when it comes to waxwork stuff, I'm useless. And I can learn a little bit from you, I think, to be able to help you. But mostly what I can do is I can teach you Sparkcraft. And I know that's not necessarily what you want, but Akaros uses their hulls very effectively, and they don't get eaten up by big snakes. I think there's definitely stuff that you can learn through Sparkcraft. And as I'm working with you, I'm sure I can pick up some things from Waxwork because, of course, it's very intricate engineering. I admire it greatly. Like, how can you make wax behave in that way? It's amazing. I don't agree with the outcome, but the workmanship is amazing. And that's why I think this is going to be unorthodox, but I think it's a good idea. Hear me out. I think you and I should try to get a job on this airship construction because you're a good engineer. You have to be. And it doesn't matter about whether we're working with steel or whether we're working with wax. In fact, I'm sure working with wax is even harder, all the welding and so on. It's good Iruvian talent that these Akarosis, they're learning to recognize. And then he kind of like, very humbly kind of touches himself on the chest.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm not bragging too much, but like,
Yeah.
they recognized me. They're learning to recognize good engineering, but there's so much talent and they're dismissing most of us as like being hidebound in tradition. If we can bring together tradition and modern engineering and Sparkcraft in this project,
Yeah.
that would be a real coup. And well, the money certainly won't hurt.
I actually think this is one of those things where, as you say this, actually Fozia is like kind of picking up, right? Like this is like, even if she is depressed, this is exciting and it's what like she is living for, really. So it seems to me like what do you want from this? Do you want to like start a project at which at the end of which you will have like a job on this thing doing something meaningful and maybe you could get some money out of it? Or is it like you just want to convince her to collaborate? Like, what is your goal here?
I think there's probably some sort of score or something that might be involved with the airship.
Uh-huh.
But I want to get a job on that airship.
Right.
What that would actually end up being mechanically, I don't know. But I think at the same time, I'm trying to, so it's clearly a double-ended thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure what the interesting thing to do in terms of a mechanic or a long-term project here would be.
Okay.
Turning Shama into my friend, maybe?
Yeah.
Trying to get...
I think that's a good first step, turning Shama into your friend. And then, once you're friends with her, maybe then you two together can work on the airship. That would be my opinion.
Yeah, that seems nice. In that case, let's say that like, why don't you make this role? I think like it's probably like worth 2 roles here because like you're appealing to something in her that is interested in this kind of thing. The airship is like a huge project. It's like, even if you hate capitalism, if somebody looked at you and said, "Do you want to get on Elon Musk's spaceship to Mars?" Would you be like, "No, I'm not going to do that"? It might be, but some people wouldn't be like that. Some people would be like, "I still do want to go to Mars."
Mhm.
I mean, if I had the money, I would buy a Tesla.
Well, yes, indeed. So I think that like I'm imagining this as like a 4-step clock. Make her your friend because you've chosen like somehow the perfect approach. Like this is exactly the kind of thing that she's interested in, and the misgivings that she might have had otherwise, the interestingness of the job itself is kind of overcoming those.
I think I want to assist you with this role if I'm allowed to assist in downtime since I'm
Should
here.
be, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and the reason that this stresses Vickers out is that she's here to talk to the restaurant staff and apologize. So she will take a little bit of stress now as she orders for the table as this is going on. She doesn't understand much of this like technical talk, right? But she will order for Shama, and I will actually end up paying a coin for this later because I have an action. But for now, she orders for Shama like some of the nice biscuits
very nice.
and tea, and like pours it and just says, "I really do think you should consider it. It comes with quite some few perks aside from the interesting work itself. Do you know, my sister was always the better cook than me. And she has tasted my cooking. And, working closely with the Ashcroft, she might actually eat something that tastes good."
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think this is especially effective because prior to this, Miraz and Fawzia, they had immediately started talking to each other. Well, Miraz had been talking at her. Fawzia was probably responding listlessly because she's depressed
Yes.
right now. but like they had probably ordered a drink each because the restaurant made them, and then the waiters were giving them stink eyes because it's been almost half an hour. It's been almost an hour. They finished their drinks and
Just
then they're
sitting there.
they haven't ordered
Yeah,
anything else.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
So yeah, you can take this assistance. I was going to give you a die for Fozia, but I think like you're already getting the die from Vickers. Instead, Fozia is unfortunately unable to offer you the full die because she's
Fair enough. I
Mhm.
rolled a 3.
yeah.
So
And
one
I think
tick.
yeah,
Progress
and I think,
is
like
slow.
ultimately, this is a juicy offer, and she is interested, but you are in the middle of the Imperial Quarter. You're in a place that she knows very well is called the Aubergine because of like some in joke that like nobody has explained to her, but everybody knows is very funny, and she's not convinced that like you really mean this in the way that like you should be. So you had 2 dice and swear. You rolled a 2 and a 3. And I think you see her kind of like munch on this biscuit, and it's a nice biscuit. And then she says, "I think you should come to Golampith with me. That is a man who sells the best that you've ever had in your life. Much better than this stuff." And then she like just tosses the biscuit on the plate. It is a very good biscuit, but I think she's a bit like, "No, I'm better than you." No, even though like she's clearly not. And I think like that's kind of why it falls flat at the moment.
Yeah, I think Vickers looks horrified at this. He goes, "Oh dear me, oh dear me," and like, takes the biscuit and hides the fact that she's being rude towards the staff because this is terrible. I'm here to apologize.
Yeah. I think Miraz just kind of like waves his hand dismissively and says, you'll come around. But if you're going to be like that, I mean, I suppose you can have the day off or stay around. I don't care." And then he's going to turn to Vickers and say, "There was something you wanted to do here at the restaurant too, right?"
Oh, yes, I really must have a word with the maitre d'.
Yeah.
Sorry, and whoever is in charge around here, I need to talk
He's
to.
like, "Do you need help with that?" And you're getting the signal that what he really wants to do is just sit there and talk nerd bullshit with Fozia.
Yeah, I think Vickers picks up on it. He goes like, "Oh no, it should be fine. I don't want to drag you into this as well. It's just you just enjoy and please finish the biscuits. We'll look awfully rude if we
Yeah.
don't."
I think they just start demolishing the biscuits now that they're
Yeah.
there.
I think the
Yeah.
maitre d' is it's from Imperial City. This is like a
Mhm.
he got this job because he couldn't get any jobs in Imperial City, and this pays much better than anything he could get back home. But he still does see this as kind of beneath his
Mhm.
station, right? So he's like,
Uh-huh.
wearing this perfect coiffed vest, immaculately pressed dress shirt.
Mhm.
He's got this like well-oiled mustache,
Mhm.
and he looks up and he says,
Yeah.
"Yes, Mom, there's something I can help you with."
Yes, Victoria Evangeline Chakraborty. You may recognize me from. Well, I was here not too long ago, and I'm afraid there was a bit of a misunderstanding, and I'm here to apologize and clear up any matters. Oh yes, and also, and I will produce
yes,
one coin
okay,
here,
yeah.
and also pick up some more of that peculiar red tea. My very good friend was interested in it. Anyway, if you could be a dear, please, and forget about the whole affair and don't talk about it anymore. That I'm sure people must have already talked. But well, you see,
indeed. Like she just like
yeah, I'm going to
yeah.
profusely
I
apologize.
think we see this
Uh-huh.
man, like initially when you're talking to him, he's like, "Okay, can't be rude to a customer, but I'm really impressed." And when you flash the money, he's like, "Oh, I see." And then when you're like, "Oh, but red
Uh-huh.
tea," immediately he goes again, "Not impressive." And then like, money's money. So I think he will say, "Well, I think that any donation towards the tip jar," and then he's gonna like look in the direction towards like a suspiciously empty jar, and he'll say, "Will be much acknowledged by all of the staff." And he like rings a little bell, and then someone comes up to him and he says, "Show the lady Irondale first flush." I think that is what she's referring to.
Oh yes, just the leaves, please. I'm bringing it for a friend. But anyway, if you could be so kind as to forget about what happened here and the whole incident, I'd be most grateful. And I'm actually spending both a coin and the rep here. I'm spending the rep to reduce heat, because that is my... And I think it makes sense to lower rep, because I'm basically just asking him to forget about all this to be kind. So I'm going to roll consort, I think, to reduce heat. I don't think I have any particular bonus to this, so...
A 1.
Just this with it. It's a 1, so I reduce 1
The problem
heat.
here is that this man really does think he's... Not that he's better than you. He could never be better than, like, a noble. But that, you know, you should have some decorum. Can't turn up and expect to bribe me and just, like, everything will...
Yeah.
I think he says, well,
yeah.
I will take it under advisement. If you would like the tea, I'm sure my colleague here can help you.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. I shall... Well, I shall return to my table post-haste, but I do need some of that tea. Joan has been quite out of sorts. Because if I do recall, Joan really wanted some more of this tea, so I'm picking some up for her. And that's like my excuse. Also, I'm spending a coin. I don't know what this precisely contributes to, but I'm going to hand it to you, Joe.
I was actually going to say, maybe the coin could count as a devil's bargain here to, like, give you another die, but, like, at that moment before you rolled, it didn't come.
No, I'm spending it towards a separate. I'm spending it towards a separate
totally
thing entirely. So.
And I think he says, well, if the lady is satisfied, then I'm afraid my duties call me elsewhere. And he's got a very plastic, insincere smile on his face.
Yeah. And I think Vickers totally does not get it since this roll fails. He goes, oh, thank you so much. I'm most relieved. Yeah. You've been so hospitable. And everything is fine now. And Vickers will forget about all of this.
He's too professional to, like, immediately roll his eyes as soon as you turn around. But we know that's what he wants.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Incredible.
Yes. No, in Vickers' word, everything is okay. Everyone has now forgotten about this incident, except for V and Elizabeth, of course. But I will deal with that later.
Very good. Right. I think, like, that seems to be the end of that scene, right? I think fantastic. If it's okay, it's about 1:45 for me. I would be deeply grateful if we could wrap here.
Yeah.
We'll do Joan and Abbas next time, and we will. I will pass on the tea, and we will see what comes of it.
Not just Joan and Abbas, but my other free downtime action.
Yes, indeed.
Oh yeah,
which I get for free.
Yeah, we'll note that down so we know.
I'll remind you, because I get 3 downtime actions for free.
Yes.
I've had 3 downtime actions for free for as long as you've had them, all right? You know,
Big, I have 3 PS3s energy here.
And so blows out our brief candle. I named the disciples of the ceaseless temple thus, with both their given names and taken. Soumithri, called Tree. Zoheb, called Klow. Prince, Emma, and Aadiyat, called Soap. Intro music, Jalandhar by Kevin MacLeod. Outro music in Keeravani Ragam by U. Srinivas. Blades in the Dark by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions. Iruvian playbooks by Johnstone Metzger. Follow us at Desperate Attune on Twitter or email us at desperateattune@gmail.com. Support us at kofi.com/desperateattune.